Hi, my name's Uncle Ricky. I came to Hawaii back in 1968, 9 years after statehood, for a 3-week vacation. But I never left. And once I decided to stay here, I became extremely interested in trying to figure out how to grow and gather my own food. But I've been watching Hawaii for the last half century, and we've become dependent more and more on importing the food that we eat from parts unknown, to the point that now we import in excess of 90% of the food that we eat in this state. I've been growing food all my adult life, and the reason that I'm working with Kahilu Theater is my hope to motivate people to try to grow at least a little of their own food in their own yards. The mantra of this show is sustainability starts small. And I know that sustainability is a big buzzword, but it doesn't mean you have to buy a lot of land and get a tractor. It means starting simple. Filming this series, I've had the privilege of meeting some fabulously interesting and knowledgeable people who are masters at growing, harvesting, and cultivating the foods that they eat, and in specific, the canoe plants. Kalo, taro, uhi, true yam, Kapioka, tapioca, Uala, sweet potato. And today's episode is going to feature my favorite of them all, ulu, breadfruit. Today, I'm going to introduce to you a woman who taught me and continues to teach me so much about these foods and really about life itself. I have the privilege to introduce to you Angelina McCoy.
My name is Angelina McCoy. I was born and raised on this island, Satawal, and it's in the western part of Micronesia. On my home island, we eat breadfruit, taro, banana, sweet potato, and other fruit that I don't see them here. So when it's time for preserving breadfruit, we really take care to preserve them because that's our food. That's what we eat. Our style back home, it's still really going. We don't live like over here when you don't have food, you go to the store. Back there, you don't have food, you go to your taro patch or harvest your breadfruit and cook your food. My belief, breadfruit is really good. If we teach our kids here in Hawaii, because breadfruit is growing nice in Hawaii, and if we teach people to eat this stuff, breadfruit, it will be really good. We don't have to bring rice and other stuff because this is good starch, plenty vitamin inside in breadfruit.
Angelina lives on a beautiful property at Kalo in the hills above Kailua, where the climate is just right to allow for the growth of a wide variety of nourishing plants, such as papaya, avocado, macadamia nuts, citrus, peppers, kalo, and of course, breadfruit.
I try not to plant nonsense plants. I plant stuff that we use for lace, the flowers. We plant plants that we use for medicine, and I plant plants to eat. I don't like nonsense stuff. That's another thing. On my home island, they use breadfruit is very important because that's how they use them for making canoes. They use them for lumbers. We use them for like 2x4s or 8x8 for big beam in the houses or those canoe houses. That's how they do. They use that because breadfruit they're really huge. That's why ulu is very important. As we grew up, big people always tell us, don't mess with ulu, don't cut it, don't go and climb them and try to pick the top of it so it will die. No, don't touch them. They're there for good. You eat them, you use them. So this is ulu. This is ulu wood. It's It's an old one too. My dad make this one.
Really?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I told him, I said, make one big one like this. And he said, how can you carry it on the plane? I say, I'm not ashamed if I bring big things on the plane.
We really could have probably shot the entire series right here because Angelina grows all of these plants, my favorite plants. We have ulu, we have kalo, we have uala, we have cassava, and we have uhi. These are the foods of the people of the South Pacific Islands, and they're all right here. Okay, now we've got all the ulu harvested, and we're ready to start cooking. And today's goal is going to be to create a series of traditional dishes using only 5 basic ingredients. Ulu, pa'akai, salt, lime, chili pepper, and coconut milk. Ready? Okay. This is Angelina McCoy, who is from Satawal, and she is going to demonstrate today several different styles of cooking breadfruit, or ulu as it is called in Hawaii. And the very first thing she's going to do is when we're going to cook this ulu, we're going to cook it, the very first ones we're going to cook over a fire. And in Hawaiian, this is called ulu pulehu. And Angelina is going to show you how to remove the stem from the ulu.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay.
This is the first time I've ever seen this in my life was today.
Yeah.
And
Oi.
when you do that, you see there's a little hole left inside the ulu. And this will allow the heat to get inside here to cook the ulu. And we're going to now put this on the fire, but I'm going to stick this behind my back real quick and put this on the fire.
Okay.
Go ahead. Like that. Another one too. And you put the hole down first.
First, yeah, you put down the
hole.
mesan. Yeah.
And I set my iPhone on a 3-minute timer. And every 3 minutes, I turn the breadfruit. And every time I turn the breadfruit, I put a rock. And when I get 13 rocks, the breadfruit's cooked.
Ah.
So we're going to actually burn the living daylights out of this. In Hawaiian, the word would be papa'a. I'm going to turn it black. And it's going to be very good inside and very burned on the outside.
While the ulupulehu roasts on the fire, Angelina and Uncle Ricky begin preparing the second dish, ulu, boiled in fresh coconut milk. Angelina begins by washing, carving, and cutting up the ulu into large chunks. Angelina makes the dish that much sweeter by using her own coconut milk made from scratch.
I love cooking with coconut milk. It's probably my favorite ingredient to use in all kinds of cooking. And the way you make it is you get a mature coconut and you husk it, scrape the meat out of it with some utensil, add water, and squeeze it. That's it. You got coconut milk. Now I know most people won't go through this whole process. And if you don't want to go through this whole process, you can just go down to Costco, buy yourself some organic coconut milk. Won't be quite as good, but it'll work. This is pa'akai. Pa'akai is real salt gathered from the rocks along the coast of this island. And Angelina is going to do adding this into her coconut milk.
Just to make it a little bit
salty.
Taste of salt, yeah. And then I just dissolve it in the water. That's so that it's not really watery. We're going to, good. And then we're going to pour it in there. Strain it.
With the coconut milk and pa'akai added to the chopped ulu, the next step is to place the pot on the stove and bring to a boil.
Okay, we got the coconut cooking with the ulu. Everything's doing good. Now I'm going to teach you how to make a Pohnpeian dipping sauce. This is a very, very simple sauce. Lime, chili pepper, salt. And water. If you don't understand chili pepper, the heat of the chili pepper is in the seeds and the taste of the chili pepper is in the skin. So when I make this sauce for people who don't like spicy food, I take the seeds out. And trust me, when you taste this, you'll love it. And what's a good meal without a good dipping sauce anyway? 2 chili pepper skins, a pinch of pa'akai, just like that. You take the back of a spoon, just like that.
Very hot, yeah?
And then you take this, and everybody wants to cut a lime this way. Well, if you cut a lime this way, there's seeds in the center of it, and you cut the seeds in half, and it's not nice to the lime, and it's not the smart way to cut it. If you cut it at an angle outside of the seeds, like that, the seeds are all in there. The juice is all in here. Put that in there. I'm going to put two of those. And so I'm going to put about a half a shot glass of water in here. But that's the sauce, just like that.
Now that the dipping sauce has been made, it's time to revisit the ulu that have finished roasting on the open fire. The first step is to demonstrate different techniques in removing the charcoal from the outside of the roasted ulu. Angelina uses a wooden tool to peel off the burnt skin, and Uncle Ricky scoops his from the inside out.
And there it is. That's ulu pulehu. Look at how beautiful that is. And now I'm going to take a spoon, and this is if you don't know how to take the skin off, which a lot of people don't know how to take the skin off, and they make it like it's some big deal. Nothing's a big deal. And I'm going to take a spoon. You see how it comes out so beautifully? This is going to be a fabulous ulu. You have to be neat with this because you don't want to get the outside on the inside.
Yum, yum.
Yum, yum. Taste this ulu, Angie. This is my favorite tree.
It's good
It's a very good ulu.
when it's a little bit ripe.
This, you see that? See the color of that?
Kinda.
That is very good. Ooh, I'm very hot. Ooh.
After the skin is peeled, Angelina begins pounding the ulupulehu into an almost poi-like substance in preparation for the next dish.
Very good, Richard.
Cook good?
Cook very good. Number 1.
And Uncle Ricky demonstrates the best way to enjoy an ulupupu that he shares with the crew.
So this, if you take the ulu, and I will make a little ball out of it in my hand, and you take it and you dip it in this lovely dipping sauce, and then you take that and you stick this in the coconut, and you grab a bunch of coconut with it.
Very good.
Seriously good. Good, huh?
Tastes so good.
The simple foods of the Aina. Real food. Well, I'm not going to wait around for you guys.
Now that the finger food was happily consumed, it was time to start working on the next dish. But before the finished meal can be served, the crew would need an item used across practically all cultures, a serving dish. Uncle Ricky and Angelina prefer the all-natural route and opt to use tea leaves.
Obviously, if you're in Hawaii, you understand that this is not what you make tea out of. This is what I made this out of. This is a tea leaf. It's T-I. And tea leaves are rigid. You take a knife and you just barely scrape it to break it. And you take your finger, you can run this down, and now you have a leaf that is much more pliable. But I want you to look at the color of this leaf and what happens when I drag it over the fire. And this now becomes almost like cloth. You can wrap things in it in any which way you want. It's pliant, it's soft, it's good to eat off of. You always want to put the food on the shiny side, not the back side. And so I use this to wrap all kinds of food things. And we're going to wrap today, we're going to wrap maar. And maar is breadfruit that's been fermented. I believe that breadfruit is the world's greatest food plant. Its tree is the tree of life. It's a carbohydrate, it's a fuel food, and it's the only carbohydrate that doesn't have to be planted annually, like rice, corn, beans, kalo, uala, Kapioka. You plant a ulu one time. It's a tree. And breadfruit is basically bulletproof. This tree will just grow. If you put it in a place that's habitable for the tree, it requires so little labor. It's just an amazing plant.
After preparing the tea leaf dinner plates, Uncle Ricky and Angelina move onto the final dish, fermented breadfruit, otherwise known as maar.
If you come from one of these islands where they grow a ton of breadfruit, no matter how much you eat, at the height of season, you can't keep up with it. And so the traditional people came up with a dish called maar, which is fermented breadfruit. They would take the breadfruit, peel it, core it, cut it into pieces, dig a pit in the ground, line it with banana leaves, cover it with banana leaves, and then eventually cover it with dirt. This would become a storehouse of food for hardship times. If there was a storm or a hurricane that destroyed all their other crops, knocked all their breadfruit off their trees, they could always return to this pit, and in there would be this fermented breadfruit. In modern times, like today, people like Angelina, she makes it in 5-gallon buckets, and it works just as well. You just got to make it airtight.
The first step in cooking with the maar is cleaning it. Angelina demonstrates one way of cleaning it, utilizing a simple pillowcase and fresh water.
I'm gonna put it in this pillowcase. And that's how I clean it here. It's faster to use this pillowcase. Don't use pillowcase that you use with your pillow, okay? So I put the whole thing here. This is how we wash the maar. You just stir it around to make it soupy, and water come out so it will clean off the sour. Plenty people here in Hawaii know how to do it because I taught them. I showed them how to do maar and how to clean it, how to cook it. I'm gonna just leave it in there because this is those guys over there.
And so this is just breadfruit that has been fermented, rinsed, and dried.
Now that the breadfruit has been cleaned, Angelina prepares to combine the maar with coconut milk and honey, wrap it up in banana leaves, and eventually steam the packages in a steamer.
This breadfruit is mixed with coconut flakes and its cream, and we put a little bit of honey to make it sweet, and that's it. We're going to wrap it up and steam it in this steamer for 30 minutes, and then that's it. Everybody take their package home and enjoy, or if you don't like it, give it to your chicken. There's plenty way of cooking this preserved breadfruit. This is another way. Okay, now I'm going to put this thing in here. We're going to add the maar in here. Ready? And then you just mix it.
So as opposed to the breadfruit cooked in coconut milk, where all of the water, all the shredded coconut was squeezed out of the coconut milk mixture, this is the water, the coconut milk, and the shredded coconut all mixed with the maar.
Together.
All mixed together. So the way you make this packaging, this is my soup. We're going to share this knowledge. This took me years to learn this. You take a banana leaf, you heat it over the fire, you rip it down about yo much, you fold this over like that.
Oh.
You take this leaf and you fold it over like this, and this behind it like this, and when you open it up, lo and behold, you have a little pocket.
I see.
Go put some of that in there, Angelina. Put 4 of them in there, why not?
Okay.
2. And then you take it and you fold one side over, and you fold the other side over, and the bottom over, and then you have this last piece here, and
Yours is perfect. Me, yucky.
here,
Here. Don't bother our wrap.
and there. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna cook them up. Okay, so this has been under pressure for 30 minutes. I'm gonna take it off the fire. We're gonna let this sit for about 15 minutes until it loses its own pressure, and then we'll open it and take it out. Okay, what's gonna happen now is I'm gonna open this thing up and hopefully it's gonna be cooked. So this is the maar that
Not maar.
maar that we
Maar is thing.
that Angelina made inside.
Done.
Ow.
You want me to
Sorry.
do it?
No. Why? Your hands are better than me?
No, not. But I can touch hot stuff.
So can I.
But you're scared, kind of.
Good.
Don't open them, Richard. Yes, good. Wow,
is.
it's really good.
Looks good. And there it is. And now we got to taste it. UKUKU. It stands for the 5 most significant staple foods of the Pacific Islanders. Ulu, Kalo, Uala, cassava, and uhi. And this section we're doing today is on ulu. And we're cooking ulu in several traditional styles. So far we've done ulu pulehu, which we cooked the ulu directly in a fire and took the ulu out of the fire and took the meat out of the skin of the ulu, and that's one style of eating it, just like that. And in all honesty, that may be my favorite style, just cooked in a fire. Then we took it and we shredded some coconut, and we took the ulu pulehu and we mixed it with some shredded coconut, and we ate that. And then Angelina took the ulu pulehu and she put it on the pounding board, and she pounded it into the precursor of ulu poi. She's going to take this pounded ulu and make it into dumplings and have a little coconut milk soup that she floats it in that you eat it with. We took an ulu and we peeled and cored it, and we boiled it in fresh homemade coconut milk and a little bit of salt. This is the ulu cooked in coconut milk. You can see the coconut on the outside of it there from it boiling in the coconut milk, and a little bit underneath it there. I'm going to dip it in this sauce here. This food is so good, it's ridiculous. And then she's going to take maar, which is the fermented breadfruit, and she's going to take some maar and mix it with shredded coconut, and we're going to wrap it in banana leaves that she just put over the fire, and we're going to put it in a pressure cooker, and we're going to cook it for 30 minutes. Traditionally, they would take those packages and they would put them in an which is a earthen oven similar to an imu, but not exactly the same. And it comes out sort of like a little cheese bread. And we'll see how it comes out steamed, which is not the traditional way of doing it, but we don't have the time to do a traditional style of cooking the maar.
When you see ulu, don't mess around with it, because it's really important food for people's eat every day. That it's a tree of, how do we say it, life?
It's the tree of life.
Yeah, tree of life.
For me, the greatest part of doing this show is getting to hang out with the kumu, to hang out with the people who are more knowledgeable than I am. This woman is a walking treasure trove of information.
No. Yeah, I like to show whatever I know from all my native cooking. I share it with anybody. I don't hide it.
I've learned so much from every one of the people. I've learned new recipes and new styles and new ways to relate to these wonderful foods, the canoe plants of the Hawaiian Islands.
Maisu is built by the Hawaiian on the Big Island, and they give it to Mau. And Mau named his canoe Maisu. Maisu is that breadfruit that fall in the wind. So that Maisu is shared by everybody, because if all these might fall down in the wind and everybody gather those things, then they share it with everybody. So that's that.
And that's the hope of this show, is that this knowledge will be Maisu, will fall from the tree and be shared with everyone. There are only 5 ingredients that made up all of this food, and all of this came from that. And this is how you eat breadfruit traditionally. And if there's any hope for our state to have food security, this is the #1 building block right here. This, Kalo, cassava, Uala, uhi. This is what makes for food security in the tropics. In closing, I would like to thank Angelina and the entire camera crew and Kahilu Theater for supporting this production. I think it's high time that we realize that we're an isolated landmass and that things aren't going so well out in the world out there, far away from Hawai'i Nei, and we need to become more self-sufficient. It only makes sense, and I think it's time to do it now. And remember, sustainability starts small. You